Good morning, Warmer Methodist family, and welcome to The Link.
Welcome. It is so great to have you with us this morning on this lovely Sunday morning. And always great to come and chat in The Link and to hang out.
Right.
And, it's one of our most favorite times of the week.
We hope you have your coffee, and
I do.
You do have your coffee.
Yes,
Tracy, I noticed
obviously.
that you've changed locations. Tell us what's happening.
I have. I'm back in PE. And so that's, I must tell you, it is much warmer here than it is. Well, certainly this week there's been some like 28s.
Right?
I've been wearing t-shirts. It's very weird. It's like I've come to another country. But yeah, so that's been cool.
You picked a good week to be here then.
I think I did, yeah. And you know what has been really like one of the best things about coming back to PE?
Yeah.
Being able to get a takeaway coffee from table 23.
Oh, winning at life.
Yep.
I'm sure it's better than what I've got in my cup at the moment. I mean,
oh yeah, in mine too. So that's been really good. And so I think we should do the Link. I think the Link should sponsor some table 23 coffees every
Ooh. I think that'd be a great idea.
So although a reminder to everyone out there that Table 23 is open and that they are serving some coffees. It's not a sit down, unfortunately. It's only for takeaway, but the coffee is still delicious, and there's still toasties available. And from this week, from the 1st of July, there's some cool new stuff on their menu. Bacon and egg rolls.
Oh, yum.
I know, right?
Homemade. I can do with one of those now.
Homemade meals like lasagna and cottage pie and
ooh, that's great.
And bobotie, curry, that sort of stuff. And you can get those frozen there as well, so that you can put them in your freezer for another stage. So for those who are not loving cooking, there's an awesome opportunity at really good prices. So check out Table 23. And follow them on Facebook to find out a little bit more about them. But if you've been missing that coffee, get down there. That was a shameless punt for Table 23 because it is totally worth it.
Absolutely. And I'm reminded that actually today we're talking about provision, and see if we're starting to give away a couple of coffees, then it just shows that God will provide.
Amen. Amen.
Anyway, so this morning we've got a lovely family that we're chatting to, because we are talking family matters. And we're going to talk a little bit about Abraham and Isaac and sacrifice and provision. But we're focusing on the provision. And so I'd love to invite Dan and his granny, his nan, Wendy, to join us on the screen right now. So welcome to Wendy and Dan. It's wonderful to have you as part of the Link this morning. How are you both?
Well, I'm very, very well. Fine. Enjoy
Wendy
at home. And just able to be at home. I'm kept very busy at home. My daughter will not allow me to be sitting around doing nothing at home. Washing dishes, cooking, and jam.
That's so good.
It's been good. It's been very good.
Good. And you, Dan, how's it going?
It's actually going really well. I'm busy at varsity. I'm sort of coming towards the end of my first semester. I think I have like 2 tests left and 1 or 2 assignments, and then first semester of my 3rd year is done. So
wow,
things quickly,
That's amazing. So I'm so glad we have a gran and a grandson combo as part of our Link this morning, because both of you are so involved. So you both played such big roles at Warmer over the years, and so it's just so good to connect with you, and just we know that you've been a part of the family, but sometimes we want to know just a little bit more than usual. So maybe, Wendy, you want to kick us off and tell us just a little bit about, so what was your life like growing up? And then Dan, you can follow on.
My life growing up, oh, yeah, that's many, many years ago.
Well,
Can you remember that
there's
far
lots
back?
to learn.
Yeah, no, growing up. No, I had a very difficult life growing up because my mom remarried and I had a stepfather. He was very good to me, but it was difficult. My father died when I was about 9, so yeah, life growing up wasn't easy. I went to boarding school for a couple of years, which I absolutely loved. I loved being in Grafenet.
Sure.
In fact, I would have retired there if I had my way. I love Grafenet. It's a beautiful, and the people are so incredibly friendly there. Yeah. So yeah, that's. Well, I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to know, but I've been in Port Elizabeth for. I got divorced, and then I moved to Uitenhage, and from Uitenhage I came to PE.
Okay, wonderful. And you, Dan, what about you? Tell us just a little bit about Dan growing up.
I was a naughty little boy. My mom liked to tell me
No.
that it was more because I was very busy that I was naughty, but I did get into a fair bit of trouble. And you look back now, I was like, I definitely made good memories.
Kids, don't try this at home.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't.
And yeah, I was quite a happy child. And then when I was in grade 6, I think I was 12, my parents separated. And then the following year in grade 7, they got divorced. And it's been an interesting road because towards the end of grade 8, beginning of grade 9, my dad sort of was completely out of the picture for a good couple of years, my whole high school career. And I had the privilege of seeing him for a couple of days after that in my first year out of school. And it's been an interesting road, but if I look back now, it's just so great to see how God's provided. And his provision for men in my life has just been so incredible.
Sure.
I find it so interesting that that's something that you both share. Having been still in primary school and your parents got divorced, is that something that you've been able to like chat about and sort of help each other along? And
I'll jump in on that. I don't think my gran and I have ever chatted about it, but there's a lot that I've learned from my gran. She's very special to me. I love her to bits, and she spoils me all the time. So,
Yay!
that's what grans do.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Definitely the favorite grandchild. I'm playing.
So good.
So he's very special, and I am inclined to wait on him a bit. Yeah.
Dan's just saying, as for as long as that lasts, I'm gonna take it.
Lap it up.
Someone is offering, I'm taking.
Lap it up.
And so now, you guys are a very Wendy. You stay with Dan in the same household. Am I correct?
I've got a flat at the back off the kitchen. Which is actually part of the house, but away from the house, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, so you can close the door when you need to, you know? Yeah.
But closed for long. Next when the door opened, man, yeah. Oops, sorry.
Nan forgot to put her phone on silent. It's fine.
It's usually for breakfast.
What do you make?
You're really you're part of the family. And so what are some of the family traditions that you guys have? Sort of things that you as a family do that are very special to you?
Well, now since lockdown, it's become very special because we have lunch together. We don't, we normally cook at night, but we have been cooking now midday.
Yeah.
And having a lunch, sitting down to lunch together. And we're eating better too. I mean, healthier.
Yeah.
Night, everybody's tired, you don't feel like cooking, and you know that. but now our diet has improved. Hey.
Yes, that's. Grant's the one that makes me eat my vegetables. I mean, some of it, but there's one I don't enjoy peas. Peas are terrible.
But I make sure he dishes up peas for himself. He's got to eat them.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. So today we're talking about kind of God's provision, and we're still in family matters. We're still talking. We're still working through Genesis, and so today we're talking about how God provides, and that's when Abraham followed God's command and he took Isaac up to the top of the mountain to sacrifice him. God provided a ram, and it was. I mean, for me, the story is a little bit about what am I prepared to sacrifice. And what am I prepared to actually allow God to provide for me, even though I was prepared to sacrifice? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm wanting to hear from both of you. How have you seen God's provision in your family? Because he provides in amazing ways. And so I'd love to hear one or two stories from you and your family about how he's provided.
Well, beginning of lockdown, because we weren't sure, it was a total lockdown. We weren't sure what was going to happen financially. We didn't know. And a very close family friend who's been very good to the family over the years phoned Janine and asked her if we were managing. And all of a sudden, there was an amount of money, a large sum of money that was put into her account, which was, Janine and I just burst into tears because
incredible.
That is how God provides, and I'm just thinking my birthday now my 80th birthday recently, how God sent. Put messages on the group, and how the provision came for my birthday. It was just, the whole thing was just incredible.
Sure. That's wonderful.
God is good. He really is good.
He is. Dan, I know you've got a testimony or two up your sleeve there too, so maybe you can share with us a little. Right? That's amazing.
So I think I'll jump onto the most recent one. Or can I say most recent? It was a good 2 years ago, and then following year after that, I'd worked my first year out of school. Got some work experience. I earned some money, and I put that towards my studies and bought myself a laptop for varsity.
Yeah.
And obviously it was great. I got the deposit down and all that. But it was like, well, where's the rest of the money going to come from? I'm going to have to take a loan. And we got a phone call from a family friend. And he said we must come visit him. We haven't seen him in a while. And he felt that God had told him that he needs to bless me with 30,000 Rand towards my varsity. And I mean, goodness gracious me.
That's amazing.
Wow, people usually donate a 5,000 Rand, and he literally covered the rest of my fees, which was just it was absolutely incredible, and all glory to God for that. Because we prayed for it, and God has pulled through every time. And then I'm going to quickly do a short one after that. I needed the following year also the same problem. I needed money for varsity, and I'd heard about NSFAS, which is a government bursary that a lot of people rely on. And we had heard stories that it was a waste of my time to even apply for it because I wasn't going to get it. And we just literally applied and prayed to God and say, you know what, this is in your hands now. You'll make a way.
Yeah.
And he literally did. Within about a month and a half of applying for it, I got confirmation that my submission was a success.
Phenomenal.
and I was receiving the bursary, which was incredible.
Sure.
And I was just like, come on, Jesus, more.
Come on, Jesus. Yes. It's so good.
Dan, one of the things you said a little bit earlier, you spoke about how God provided father figures for you. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I think sometimes we think provision and we think something like financial resources, but there's so many other ways, and I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
So it's obviously I was 12 to about 19, which is quite a crucial time in a boy's life where he needs a good father figure or a good role model to follow that can lead him and teach him things. And all aspects of my life, from financial to spiritual to practical, God has just placed certain men in certain periods of my life that have pulled through, that have shown me the ropes, that have taught me how to change a tire, taught me how to service a car. I mean, I can service my own car by myself now.
Woohoo, that's so cool.
I might bring mine over to you.
Please do. And then, I just want to hop on to spiritually, just how youth leaders have been put in my life. Ben, I mentioned on last Sunday, how he was at a weird time in my life, and he just sort of gave me a direction that I didn't have, put me on my feet again, if I can say that. So it's been so incredible how God has, even me not praying for it, but God has made sure that throughout my life, things that my dad should have taught me or helped me with, God made sure that there were men in my life to restore that.
Sure. That's amazing.
So as a family, how have you experienced God's faithfulness? I mean, you've touched on some of the kind of the areas of provision, but how else have you experienced God's faithfulness as a family?
You want to go, Ms. Aga?
Well, God is faithful in so many different little things even. God's faithful in the people that he puts in our lives as a family. And I think that, people that show you the way and remind you of God's presence and remind you of God's faithfulness and how you can trust him. Sometimes you've got to be reminded of those things. And
that's true.
Especially now, the times we're going through, people say, God is there. And prayer is so important certainly in our life. And I know and I see how he answers prayers in so many different ways, even in Daniel's life now, quite recently. It was absolutely incredible the way he answered.
Or shall I? I'll say the story.
I'm like, I was too scared to ask.
I'll tell you, it was too good. So I've recently bought myself a bicycle, and I found one, and I was really excited. But my sister had to pay for it, and then I'd pay her back because my sister's sitting pretty at the moment.
Yeah.
All the money.
All the money.
If there are any single guys out there, any lovely Christian men, there's a girl who's loaded, so give her a call.
So anyway, my sister would have to pay for it, and then obviously I'd pay her back because I had to pull money out of savings. And I really wanted the bike. The bike was great. It was just what I was looking for. And I said, okay, God, I'm going to put this in your hands because I've asked my sister and she said she'll think about it. So the only thing I can do is pray to you and say, have your way. If it's meant to be, my sister, by the end of the day, will come to me and say she'll pay for it. And I'm literally sitting there by my phone, sitting there by my desk, waiting for my sister to come in. And
initially, she was very dubious about it because she is saving to buy herself a motor car, so she didn't want to part with the money. Yeah.
Right.
So just before bed, so the whole day had gone through and she hadn't come to me. I was like, okay, it obviously wasn't meant to be, but I was still going to hope for the bike and keep looking for a bicycle that I could afford. And I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, I found this other bike. It's slightly more expensive, but it's a better quality. It's a well-known brand. 5 minutes after that, my sister walks into the room and said she'll pay for the bike.
Oh, wow.
That I had a look at another bike, and she was willing to pay the whole thing up front. So I was just like, that can only be Jesus.
Jesus does talk to your sister too.
I love my sister to bits, but she's snoop with her money.
It's incredibly snook with her money.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I was knew that bike wasn't for me. And when I found the right one, he was like, okay, now I'll send your sister.
Oh, the Lord coming through at the like 59th minute over there, you know. I guess.
I'm telling you,
I mean, as he did, in the Abraham story, that's what happened too. So
exactly,
I think a pattern of his, which builds trust and faithfulness.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
as that is, though, you know. But yeah,
as difficult indeed. Well, Dan and Wendy, thank you so much for being a part of the link this morning. It was really good to see your faces, first of all, and just second of all, to just hear a little bit of your stories and to just see how God has worked in your family, and how He's come through for you so many times. And just thank you for who you are to our Woman Methodist family. We hold you both very near and dear, and we trust that even in this weird time that we find ourselves in, that you are just staying still so connected to Him and just so obedient to what He's called you both to be. So thank you so much. It was great to have you on the link.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.
It was so great being able to chat to Wendy and Dan, and I love that they are serving in the same church. And I think that's just one of the incredible things about Walmer, is that we've got these extended families, like generations of families who serve together, and I think that's incredibly powerful. It was awesome to be reminded of stories of provision, so thank you to Dan and Wendy. That's pretty much all we've got time for this week.
Yep.
So it's been great being with you today. Don't forget to stay tuned and join us for our service, which is at 9 a.m. Make sure you're there on time for that. Click in back here on Facebook or on YouTube. And we've also got something really special for our kids this morning. We're doing a special slot for them for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the service. So make sure that parents, you're there with your kids at 9 a.m. We are really excited about that. And before you get there, in our response side of the service, we're having something with candles and matches. I don't know exactly, but they've said get a candle and some matches ready. So if you want to go make a cup of coffee and do that now, we will see you at 9 o'clock. God bless.
See you next week.